The gunpowder that we all know is a wonderful invention made by our ancestors long ago. Now let's look at the history and scientific background of gunpowder. Imagine what the world could have looked like prior to the discovery of gunpowder. Wars fought using swords, bows, and spears. Difficulties in producing fire. So, a real medicine for these difficulties is found in China in the 9th century AD. That is gunpowder, also known as black powder. Before the 9th century AD, and throughout the first millennium AD, there were various records regarding a substance with similar characteristics to gunpowder. But the first evidence that can be confirmed as gunpowder comes in 808 AD. The first formula is 6 parts sulfur, 6 parts saltpeter, and 1 part birthwort. Initially, gunpowder was used for religious and ceremonial purposes, including the making of fireworks. Interestingly, its use in fireworks production has continued to this day, bringing both spectacle and celebration to events around the globe. It is said that in the 10th century, weapons made using gunpowder were used. For example, things like fire arrows and bombs. Later, in the 13th century, knowledge of gunpowder spread to the Islamic world and Europe. By the 14th century, cannons were invented in Europe. By the 15th century, hand cannons that could be carried by soldiers were produced. So in this way, the products made using gunpowder improved to the modern firearms used in the world today. So what is the specialty of gunpowder? It ignites quickly. If you look at it that way, petrol will also catch fire so quickly. Then, how to make a big explosion with gunpowder? The heavy iron balls that were used as bullets in those old cannons were projected far by the explosion of gunpowder inside the cannon barrel. Other fuels we use, including petrol, require an external oxygen supply to burn. This combustion takes place due to the reaction with the oxygen in the atmosphere. Now let's take a closer look at gunpowder. Generally, the composition of gunpowder is about 75% potassium nitrate, 15% charcoal, and 10% sulfur. Gunpowder does not need oxygen from the outside to burn. Potassium nitrate acts as an oxidizer for this reaction. Also, carbon acts as a fuel, and sulfur acts both as a fuel and a catalyst. This is the simplified balanced equation for the reaction that takes place in the combustion of gunpowder. But gunpowder does not burn as a single reaction. Because of this, it is difficult to make a precise prediction about the byproducts of combustion. In a study conducted on this, it was found that during combustion, potassium carbonate, potassium sulfate, potassium sulfide, sulfur, potassium nitrate, potassium thiocyanate, carbon, ammonium carbonate, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen, methane, and water are obtained in different percentages. Now we understand how gunpowder in a firecracker or a bullet burns without an external supply of oxygen. So limit this video only to the development of your history and scientific knowledge. Attempting to experiment with it can be dangerous. Science is a fascinating subject, but it's unfortunate that it can be used to both beautify and harm the world. See you again in another video.